What's happening, YouTube? I'm the Mudface. I'm the monster you have made. So, yeah, my name is Mike. I'm from the Midwest, rural area. Lots of crops, lots of cows. Tonight you got the cicadas and the crickets and lightning bugs going on. A little bit about me. I work in a retail environment in sales in the hardware industry, home improvements. So I see a little bit of things with supply chain and how people are spending their money. It's usually a pretty good gauge of what's coming. The name Mudface, well, I'm also a musician on the side. I haven't played live or been in a band in about 9 years, but the Mudface was actually the song from a band that I was in that I also fronted while I played bass. That was the first riff that I learned when I joined up with those guys. They had named this riff the Mudface. Well, that became a song. And the opening lyrics are, I'm the Mudface. I'm the monster you have made. You're the disgrace. So wipe that smile off your face. So, what I'm going to try to do with this channel, we'll see if it goes. If it doesn't, whatever. There's a lot of channels in the prepper sphere that talk news and current events. I want to take a little different spin to that. I want to take a look at the story that they're pushing. And I want to see what they're hiding from us with that story. I want to see how that's going to affect us. And if I can, offer solutions or potential solutions to how we can avoid that problem that's going to cause us. So this week, all the news has been about Fauci. Fauci and his Senate hearing. How he pled the fifth 444 times. And, even when he was asked, what color is the carpet on the floor in front of you? I plead the fifth. So this video is not going to be about Fauci, but it's all theater. Nobody's going to do anything about it. They're going to investigate to see if he's in contempt, because per his pardon that he got from Biden preemptively, dating back to 2014, that Trump has said he's not going to rescind or pursue any reversal. Per his pardon, though, and Supreme Court decisions, you lose the right to plead the fifth if you're on a pardon. So, they know that the pardon is illegal. So they'll come back after this investigation into his contempt charges, and they'll say, well, his pardon's illegal, so he's allowed to use the Fifth Amendment. Nothing's going to happen. It's all theater. It's all to get you spun up and paying attention to that, as opposed to paying attention to what we're going to talk about. So the first distraction, and the reason I know it's a distraction, is look at all the influencers. Specifically on X, you've got the cat turd, Gunther Eagleman, Mila Joy, Juanita Broderick, I don't know. MAGA Voice, Libs of TikTok. I mean, they're all talking about Fauci. 2 weeks ago, they were talking about how we were beating Iran, which is point number one. It is distracting us from the ass whooping we are taking in Iran. The 18. Oh, wait, no, they changed the rules on how they're calculating them now. 14 deaths from Operation Epic Fury. They knew what was going to happen. In 2002, they did this little thing called Millennium Challenge. And it was a bunch of war game simulations of war with Iran. They spent, in 2002, $250 million to do this war games for 14 days. And it went so badly that as they were rerunning the exercises, they were changing the rules to try to make it so that we could win. And it didn't work. Look it up on Wikipedia. Millennium Challenge 2002. That $250 million now would cost about $445 million. So if that tells you what your dollar's done in the last 24 years, indicator. Okay, anyhow. So we're getting our butts kicked over there. And they're kind of left with three options. And neither one of these options are very good. A, we just walk away, which we tried to do last week, and Iran started bombing us again. Forgive me, it's a little buggy out here. Like I said, I live in the Midwest. It's summertime, mosquitoes, moths, and I got lights. Anyhow, so we walk away. Didn't work last week. Iran, they started dropping bombs on us again, blowing up bases, which Iran wants war. Look how close they put their country to all of our bases. Anyhow, option 2. We send troops in on the ground. Well, part of Millennium Challenge was sending troops in. And the problem with Iran is, well, the problem with Afghanistan was the terrain. We didn't know the terrain. It was very mountainous and rugged and rocky. Caves and cave networks. Iran's twice as bad and twice as hot. So they're going to end up most likely putting troops on the ground. I think they're waiting to try to get the temperatures down so that our troops don't die of heat exhaustion and dehydration. Option 3 is we turn the whole country into a glass parking lot. A couple of nukes. Boom, boom. We're the only country to ever drop a nuke. We're also the only country to win a nuclear war. Anyhow, I digress. So we pull out, we send troops in, or we drop some nukes. Well, none of those options are good. Trump's ego is going to make sure that we do something because he can't lose. He can't have his defining legacy being losing to Iran. So that's distraction item number 1. Item number 2 is the NDAA. More specifically, Section 219. The clause that is going to link our military intelligence and Israeli military intelligence. I'm sorry. I don't trust the nation state of Israel any more than I would have trusted the Nazi regime in Germany. I don't trust them. I could go on about the conspiracy theories of Israel, but I'm going to refrain. Anyhow, Section 219 merges us and Israel at the intelligence level. They have unfettered access to what we know. We have unfettered access to what they know. Well, they've kind of been unreliable witnesses. USS Liberty. Dancing Israelis. Epstein. Sorry. Tourette's. Not really. Anyhow, so, Section 219. Very unpopular amongst most of the left right now, who is very pro-Palestine, anti-Israel because of the genocide in Palestine and Lebanon. the next thing with that is, because they've gotten us involved in this, and we're going to be probably putting troops on the ground because it's very unlikely we drop nukes. Alex Jones said the other day that there's rumors of getting a draft going in about 3 weeks. Well, Alex Jones is a bit of a blowhard and a loudmouth, but a lot of times his information is very accurate. I think the 3 week timeline is a little aggressive, but I think the information is very possible, especially when you couple in the fact that effective, December 1st, you will no longer, as an 18-year-old, have to go register for selective service. It will be automatic. And not just for the men, but also the women. So they want to send our women off to war. Now, granted, they don't always have to be in combat when they get drafted. There's logistics, there's all kinds of things. Logistics are just popped on the top of my head. There's morale, there's transportation, there's support roles. All those support roles. So, the rumors of the draft in relation to this conflict that Israel has gotten us involved in. Also, the Abraham Accords. Now, I've not read them. What I know is what I've seen. But what it seems like to me is it is their version of a Monroe Doctrine. So we control the Western Hemisphere. Militarily, economically, everything has to come through us if they want to do something here in the Western Hemisphere. We kind of got away from it with, China with their Belt and Road initiative. But Monroe Doctrine 2.0 is kind of bringing that back. Anyhow, so we control the West. Israel wants to control the Middle East as their economic zone. They want to be the powerhouse. So, they can't do that without our help. There's too many Muslims. Now, do I agree with what Israel's doing? No. Do I agree with what the Muslims are doing? No. The Muslims are they're a violent warring religion. They can't even get along with themselves. Their war with Judaism goes back 3,000 plus years. But I digress. Okay, so that's two things that they're distracting us from. Third one came out earlier in the week. Trump's wealth has increased from $2.2 billion with a B dollars in 2024 to an estimated $6.3 to $7.3 billion dollars. It's more than doubled in 2 years. And how's he done it? Crypto. He did that shit coin. Duped a lot of people. Kind of like the Haktua girl. A lot of dumb people out there with this crypto thing. Only a couple of them are viable. None of them work when the lights go out. Sorry, I got cats over here doing crazy things. Barn cats are funny. Anyhow, so crypto, merch and likeness, all those Make America Great hats, Trump flags, the Trump card that just came out, the Trump account, Trump RX. He's getting royalties for all of this, kind of like Obama did with Obamacare. I can't blame him. He's going to play the game as it's presented. There's no laws against it. Is it right? Probably not. But is it illegal? According to what everybody else is doing, apparently not. The other thing would be the market manipulation. Every Sunday, you'll hear, there's going to be a deal. There's going to be a deal. Iran wants to make a deal. Sorry, my Trump is horrible. I don't have the hair. But then Monday morning, the market's open. The oil futures drop. The market bounces up. It's like, oh, we're going to pull these strings over here, so this happens over here. But while they're over here and they're down, we're going to invest. It's going to come over here. It's going to come up. We're going to make our money. We're going to sell off, bring it back down, buy again. And it's just a repeating pattern. Playing the roller coaster, playing the shorts. Wall Street is a rich man's game. Unfortunately, though, most of our retirements are rooted on Wall Street. So if you can, check out Genesis Gold Group or something like that, where you can take, if you have the ability to, your IRAs, your 401ks, roll them over into real physical metals. I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is my first video, so there's a free plug for Genesis Gold Group. Anyhow, so market manipulation, crypto, merchant likeness. How's that going to affect us? Him increasing his wealth really doesn't. What he's doing to the markets, though, it does. So prices are going to go up. You know, the oil market, that's all based on futures. It's not the live market. You know, they're manipulating the price of oil in the future, and then realistically, the active live market for many countries around the world is double what the futures say. Eventually, it's going to catch up to them. You can only manipulate things so long. All right, so item number 4. And this one has to be updated a little bit because it's some information I got just before I started filming. So the Senate and the SAVE Act. Now, the recess has been postponed as of today. It's what I was reading a little bit ago. However, the Senate also did reject adding the SAVE Act to the NDAA. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, the SAVE Act, another political theater. We already have rules on the books stating that non-civilian or citizens, illegals, are not allowed to vote in federal elections. That's on the books. It's illegal. Some local county and state governments, they do allow non-citizen residents to vote. State rules, municipal rules, the government can't really say, no, you can't do that. But the federal elections, which is the big one that they're trying to pass the SAVE Act for, it's already a rule. They can't vote. So, John Thune, many of the rhinos, they've all been kind of avoiding this, trying not to pass it. Well, it's theater. Again, like I said, there's already rules on the books. If Washington really wanted this to pass, all they got to do is Trump says, hey, JD, go to the Senate, take over, nuke the filibuster, which is a bad idea, get the SAVE Act passed. They haven't done it. They've sent JD in to get the tiebreaker a couple of times for some things. But this, they haven't done it. Anyhow, so it's just spinning you up, spinning the right up, spinning the left up to focus on something. And now they're getting a little too much heat from the right about it because the Senate wanted to go to their August recess, a month-long vacation, not pass the SAVE Act. But 80% of Republicans, 73% of Democrats, so that's about 76.5% of Americans, give or take, quick math, want to see passed, even though it doesn't need to be passed. So the recess was canceled. SAVE Act was not added to the NDAA, which would have eliminated the need to nuke the filibuster. Again, nuking the filibuster, bad idea. Eventually it's going to happen, and it's kind of like in Ohio where they made it so that you can amend the Ohio Constitution with just a regular majority vote. It's not supposed to be that easy to change the Constitution. So anyhow, lastly, flock cameras. Axon, Motorola, Coram. They are getting so much heat because people from both wings of the bird are not real thrilled with their Fourth Amendment violations. They are paying a lot of talking heads to try and spin it, and you're going to start seeing a lot of news stories about the flock cameras and how they've helped solve crimes. I've seen 3 in the last week. I can tell you one in Ohio a week and a half ago. Man, Northeast Ohio murders someone involved in a police chase, gets away, and then a few hours later he's picked up by a flock camera and then apprehended after they caused him to wreck his car onto a golf course. You're going to start seeing a lot of those trying to spin the public sentiment in favor of these flock cameras. So that's 5 things that the whole Fauci shit show is distracting us from. What does it mean to you? Well, the Section 219 and the draft and the Iran ass whooping. Well, who are they going to draft? Our sons and daughters. To go fight a war over greed. Trump's wealth doesn't affect you at all. Unless he's literally taking it out of your pocket and putting it in his, it's not affecting you. However, the market manipulation, it is. Your gas prices go higher. Transportation of all the goods, because everything that is in a store gets there from a truck. Diesel's going up, gasoline's going up, and everything's going to get more expensive because of that. Well, I did that a couple years ago. And it did that about 10 years before that. Did they ever lower the prices when the gas prices came down? No. So your dollar's not going to go as far. We're going to be pinching more pennies. We're going to be spending more and more on necessities and less on luxuries. The SAVE Act, it really is not going to affect you. Like I said, there's already rules on the books against non-citizens and illegal immigrants voting in federal elections. It's all theater designed to get you spun up. And they're distracting from it now because too many of the wrong people are getting spun up. Flock cameras. The jury's out on how that's really going to affect most of us. But there's been several cases of, shall we say, nefarious uses of the flock cameras that have come out a little bit lately. Case in, I believe it was Key West. A police officer was using flock camera footage to stalk a model. People getting pulled over because their car is getting misidentified. So it is an invasion of your privacy, a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. But I'm of the opinion you should sue your neighbor for his Ring camera footage. If it's recording you, that's not your permission. That's invading your privacy. But you shouldn't be where the problem is, and you shouldn't be that close enough to your neighbors that their Ring camera can record you. Lastly, at the end of the day, all of this is going to come down to China. Iran is a proxy war with China. China's testing out their gear on our stuff. We're testing out our gear on China's stuff. The whole Israel thing, that doesn't really affect us with China, although Israel's number 2 trade partner is China, behind us. So they're not vested either way. Trump's net worth and the market manipulation, Well, they're trying to keep the oil out of China. So that's why they're allowing Ukraine to bomb all these Russian fuel depots, so that Russia can't send oil to China, which that's another thing they're distracting us from. There are new sanctions going through, probably going to pass, that is going to make the sanctions against Russia and their oil enforceable by military action, which is going to give us permission to go blow up Russian oil carriers, their shadow fleet, because they're violating the sanctions. Well, who's buying Russian oil? India, China. Oh, so if China sends a tanker to Russia to buy oil, are we going to blow up that Chinese vessel? The thing with Flock in China is, I don't know if you watch the Bear Independence show, but there's this little thing that he likes to say, is that there is a persistent and ongoing zero-day exploit that affects everything that touches the internet to the highest echelons of American society. So if it touches the internet, it's compromised. Well, all those Flock cameras touch the internet, because how do they communicate with the data centers to store that information, which is only a small part of what those data centers are for. Digging into that, but the jury's still out. A lot of that infrastructure has already been there. You know, you've had video cameras on ATMs, so they're linking your face to your debit card. Video cameras when you're making a purchase at the self-checkout stand at Walmart, which you pretty much had to do during COVID, so they're tagging your credit card to your face. They're tracking the RFID chips in your cards, tracking those through movements, blah, 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 blah. Anyhow, all that information is online. Everything online is compromised to China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. So, they're going to have access to all that information. They're going to know, with their cheap AI, they're going to be able to sort through all that data, seeing who's buying what guns and whatnot. Seeing they can control your electric, they can control your water, your internet. They can control how much chemicals they're putting in your water to purify it, which can make it overly potent and harmful, deadly even. Half the cars now they can control. It was in 2015, Chrysler actually paid a hacker to hack the onboard system that was Wi-Fi enabled to see if it could be done. They patched it at the time, but it's just a patch. It's like when you try to cover up a ground hornet nest. They're just going to dig a new hole. So, at the end of the day, China's using all of this stuff against us. And they're going to use it against us in ways that you have no idea. Imagine all the worst case. You remember the Summer of Love 2020 and all the riots and such. China's going to manipulate more of that. They're going to shut down the grid. They don't have to EMP us. They just flip, beep, boop, boop, power's off. And if they don't do it, the rust will get it. I can take you right now to 10 telephone poles within a mile of my house that are snapped off. Been that way for years. The power company doesn't do anything about it. Hell, out here, the wind hits above 40 miles an hour. I lose power for a day. I don't even sweat it anymore. So, sorry I got a little on a tangent. Not my goal. First video, I'm trying to figure out the format of what I want to do, how I want to present it. So, my thing is I want to try to look at what the big topic of the week is, why they're talking about it, and what they're hiding from us by talking about it. If you think there's something else, put it in the comments. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, ring the little bell icon, all the YouTube things. Get what you need while you can. Because if things do pop off with China, it's going to get real hard to get stuff. It's already getting hard. It's already getting real hard to get stuff. I can tell you major home improvement material companies that are on extreme backlogs, rivaling COVID, because they can't get stuff from China. Anyhow, thank you. Have a good night.